If you've been scrolling through endless cabinet saw listings, watching video after video of people bragging about horsepower and rip capacity, and still feel that nagging doubt about which machine will actually survive a busy weekend in the shop, you're not alone. Most of us have stood in the aisle, eyeing the price tags, wondering if the extra dollars will really translate into safer cuts and less downtime. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review, I'm going to break down exactly why the SawStop professional cabinet saw often ends up being the one that finally puts that doubt to rest, and who should walk away without it. First off, the biggest fear any woodworker has is the what if of a serious injury. The SawStop safety system is the only one on the market that literally stops the blade the instant it detects flesh, dropping the motor torque in a fraction of a second. That isn't a marketing gimmick. It's a patented brake that engages a spring-loaded aluminum block into the blade, bringing a 3-horsepower 36-inch saw to a halt in less than 5 milliseconds. For anyone who's ever taken a moment to picture a slip on a board, that technology alone can tip the scales from maybe to must-have. It's also why the model carries a near-perfect 4.9-star rating from over 5,000 reviewers. People are not just buying a saw, they're buying peace of mind. Now, let's talk about the everyday grind. If you run a small to medium shop, you'll probably be cutting inch plywood for cabinets, ripping 24s for framing, and occasionally throwing a sheet of hardwood across the table for a custom piece. The 36-inch T-Glide rip fence on this unit slides on a set of hardened steel rails that stay square to the blade under load. In practice, that means when you push a 212 across the bed at full speed, the fence won't wander a fraction of an inch, the kind of micro-drift that can ruin a joint. I've seen a fellow woodworker set up a repeatable 12-inch rip for a batch of table legs, and the fence held its position for the entire run without needing a readjustment. That reliability saves you the hidden cost of recutting and sanding. The extension table is another feature that often gets glossed over in spec sheets. Because the cabinet's base is relatively compact, roughly a 69-inch width and 33-inch depth, you can slide the extension out and get an extra 12-inch overhang without sacrificing stability. In a real-world scenario, that extra length is the difference between being able to rip a full 4x8 sheet in one pass versus having to make a second pass and line up the cut. The extra surface is also sturdy enough to support a thick slab of maple, which many hobbyists struggle with on smaller saws where the table flexes under weight. Who should buy this saw? If you are a serious hobbyist who spends at least a few $100s a month on lumber, or a small professional shop that needs to turn out repeatable parts without constant resetup, the SawStop cabinet pays for itself quickly. The safety system alone can shave insurance premiums, reduce downtime after a mishap, and keep you focused on the project rather than on a bandaged hand. Also, if you've already invested in a set of high-quality blades and a dust collection system, the saw's 3-horsepower motor will drive those blades cleanly through dense hardwood without bogging down. Who should skip it? If you're a beginner who only does occasional small cuts, or if your budget is tighter than the price of a mid-range cabinet saw, the SawStop might feel like overkill. The safety system adds a few $100s to the base price, and while it's a fantastic safety net, you might not see its full benefit until you're actually putting the saw through heavy, repetitive use. Likewise, if your shop space is limited to a tiny corner, the cabinet's footprint, just under 6 feet wide, could dominate the room, making it harder to maneuver other equipment. Let's look at practical strengths that go beyond the headline numbers. The first is the consistent blade alignment. Because the motor is mounted directly under the table and the belt drive runs in a sealed housing, you get less vibration and a blade that stays true from start to finish. In a real workshop, that translates to cleaner edges on a 5-inch thick pine board, meaning you can skip a sanding pass before assembling a cabinet frame. The second strength is the ease of blade changes. The saw uses a quick-release arbor, and the brake system automatically retracts the blade a few inches when you engage the safety reset, giving you clearance to swap blades without reaching under a hot spindle. That's a small convenience, but over dozens of blade swaps a month, it adds up to minutes saved and less wear on your hands. On the flip side, there are a couple of trade-offs that matter once the saw is in your shop. The first is power consumption. A 3-horsepower motor draws a significant amount of electricity, so you'll want a dedicated 15-amp circuit.